Oh, yeah, it's go time. Welcome back, my staffing peeps. ASA Women in Leadership Scholarship Week is still continuing with Tracy Pierce. But before we even deep dive into her story, we'll give a shout out to our proud sponsor, Ascend. That's right, Ascend. They are the employer of record, all in one platform. So you can grow your staffing firm quickly without worrying about the back office or paperwork. Reach out to my friends at Ascend today, and they will take care of you. Tracy, what's going on?
Not much. Enjoying a beautiful day here today and just super excited to be here speaking with you today.
I love it. And the headset sounds good, Tracy. So we're live from Tracy's from the moon right now. Are you live from
Yes,
NASA?
that's right. Live from NASA.
I love it. You know what? And this whole week's been so much fun. I mean, seriously. But your story, I kind of did a little study on it and it kind of resonates me a little bit. So let's dive into it because before staffing, I think you had a job where you had to commute kind of far. Am I right?
Yes. So I was traveling from southern New Hampshire to Manchester by the Sea, um, which is Upper Shore, Massachusetts, and that was quite a drive. It's where the movie was filmed, and in fact, the building I worked in was one of the buildings that was captured in that movie, Manchester by
Oh,
the Sea. Yeah. Um, so so that came about where they actually put the wrong city in the ad. And when I applied for the job was written as if it was made for me. And so the guy was like, "Yeah, we kind of made a mistake. It's not New Hampshire, it's Massachusetts." But the
oh,
job was a really good fit. I tried it out for a couple of years, but the commute just killed me. So um, I was thankfully recruited to this role and have never looked back since. So
I love it. So that commute, how many hours was it?
so it was an hour and a half, which in the New England area, that's a pretty long commute
Oh,
for sure.
so I take it you listen to a lot of music, right?
A lot of music, a lot of audiobooks. Today, I'd probably be chatting with ChatGPT to plan out my days and take notes, but that wasn't around back then. So
No, now it's AI day.
yeah,
And
exactly.
and something else I got to talk about right now is please tell everybody out there. I mean, this was in your profile a little bit. Were you really a control freak back in the day?
Well, yeah, I might have been a controller a couple of times. Yeah.
And that totally changed now?
Well, actually, I am still. I just was promoted here to the controller role, so I'm still a controller, still a control
Ooh,
freak. Was always a fan of Janet Jackson and her "In Control" song, so I'm just running with it.
I love it. Always been in control. That's amazing. And then something else. I believe you and your husband are big time hikers, which I am too.
Oh, really? That's great.
Yeah.
We have hiked what's called the New Hampshire 48 4,000 footers. We've hiked Kilimanjaro. We did that in 2015. We have hiked in the Andes in Peru. So yeah, we do a little bit of hiking. That is one of the things that we love to do in our free time.
Okay, Tracy, you said a little bit of hiking. To train for these mountains, I mean, what goes behind this?
A lot of hours on the treadmill and getting out onto the trails as often as possible. Actually, I left out that we did Mount Whitney, which is the tallest in the lower 48 here in the States. So we did that last June.
Wow. So I'm kind of like fascinated by this. I'm sure the audience is too. So how long does it, I mean, you just don't climb up a mountain after like 2 weeks. I mean, how long does it, you have to train for each mountain?
Yeah, trying to stay fit, whether it be running, walking, getting out on whatever elevation things you can. I live in central New Hampshire, which is not too far from our mountains, which while they aren't tall, there's a lot of steepness and difficult footing. So it's great to train there. Running will do it too. So we do a lot of different things: running, lifting, hiking as much as we can.
Okay. So what's the next mountain you're going to conquer? Do you have one in view there?
We don't. We don't. we're maybe thinking about trying to do 48 beaches in one summer.
Wow. I can just tell you, that's amazing. I go to the gym all the time, but to train for a mountain, I don't know if I can make it up there. I mean, that's a lot of work and stuff like that. Maybe one day it'll be on my bucket list, but that is so amazing that you do that stuff. I mean, that's something I've never heard of. People in staffing just climbing mountains.
I think you'd be surprised. I've met a lot of people that do some really awesome stuff. I think later this week you'll get to talk to Haley, and she's an absolute inspiration. So
She is. Maybe we should start a hiking group, in
that
staffing,
would be
right?
great. That would be great.
Yeah. Meet up once a year somewhere and start hiking. Just let you know after a couple of miles, I might just take a bicycle, by the way, or head up for a beer somewhere. If there's a bar, I'm just stopping. I'm like, okay, you guys continue.
For
Sharks
sure.
stay back.
For sure.
Okay, so then you jumped into staffing. You've been in staffing, I believe, for 8 years, right?
Yes. Yep. I I was recruited to this company, to Core Medical Group, and it's funny because the recruiter was like, I've got a role at Core Medical Group, and I'm in the back office. I'm in accounting, and I was like, I don't know anything about medical billing, and he's like, nope, it's not a medical office, and so it took a little while for me to understand exactly what it was. But one of the great things that I love about staffing is it's clear that you're making an impact, especially in the healthcare world. You're not only making impact on the clinical employees that are out there in the field, getting them to different places. You're also making an impact on the patients that need the care.
Hmm.
My dad's elderly, and I can see the difference when he's being cared for at a place that has adequate staffing or when he's not. And that it's very personal when you have a loved one that's in the healthcare system, and you can see the difference that the care absolutely makes.
I love that. Like you said, like in the industry we're in, it's all about caring too. I mean, we take some of these stories home with us. I mean, we're human on this stuff. So in your 8 years, where did you start at? Were you like a recruiter and worked your way up?
No, so I'm in the back office. I've been in the back office since I started. I started as just a senior staff accountant and have worked my way up to the controller. Um, and honestly, I received the promotion in December, and
Yeah.
I really attribute my promotion to the confidence that I was around at Thrive. Somebody had left that was above me, and I pitched a department reorg that the CFO ended up liking the idea that I presented to her, and I would have never done that um, without having this behind me. One of the things from Thrive is I really felt it was an arena where women could talk about their goals, their
Mhm.
what they wanted to do. And I had never been anywhere where it was really totally fine to talk about your ambition. I think women, I'm going to overgeneralize here, but women, at least of my generation, were kind of discouraged from having goals and having ambition. It was always sort of a bad thing to have ambition, and to be someplace where you could talk about that freely and comfortably was really, it was like a load off. It was just amazing.
Nice. It's
Um,
really, really like a safe zone, you kind of say, you can go
yes,
and express yourself.
yes, that
There's
is
another great song, by
exactly
the
it.
way, Express Yourself, little Madonna, right?
Yes,
Who doesn't love
exactly,
Madonna?
exactly. Um, I think the cohort was definitely a huge deal. We bounce ideas off of each other. We're cheerleaders for each other. So I think the combination of Thrive and going through this with a group of women that are all amazing um, made a huge difference for me. And I think that was the push to give me the confidence to to push for this new role. So
I love that. Okay, so back office. I don't talk to many people in the back office
I
anymore. So,
know.
can you give me a story? I mean, there's got to be, everybody has recruiting stories, sales stories. Is there one story in the 8 years you've been there that sticks out?
You know, there's a theme, not necessarily one story, but you know, in my role, there's situations that come up, last minute, so and so is just starting a new role and they don't have enough money to get food for the weekend. And so, we start looking at, can we just send them some money by ACH? No, they have one of these new bank accounts that doesn't accept ACH. Okay,
Mm.
so how do we find a different way to help them get through the weekend before they start their new role? And being able to jump in and find solutions. Not that long ago, we had somebody that we had to Venmo her money because she didn't have enough money for the weekend. And being able to say, you know what, this is somebody who's starting a new role with us for the first time, and we're able to help them out to get them started at the new role, and just being able to make a difference on that level on in somebody's life is really huge for me.
You said it real well. I mean, seriously, at the end of the day, you don't know what's on the other side, and helping people out that little token, some people will not appreciate that, but that small things for them, if it's $100, we might think that's nothing for us, but for them, that's like a life-changing week, for them to get food
Absolutely.
and everything. So, that's one thing I love about our industry. And you probably agree, Tracy. It's like we are touching so many people's hearts every day.
Yeah, I, see so many stories come through of, people that have just life happen, whether it be, lost a child, lost a parent, employees. And I love to be able to see the different ways that we're just making a difference on in what's going on in their life. We had somebody who unfortunately the person passed away, and they were actually working pretty close to our corporate office, and um, they were from a totally different state, and the account executive actually went and helped take care of the stuff at their apartment for the family. And just the personal touches that you see,
Mhm.
um, they just make a difference. I've before that I worked at companies that were complete luxury. I worked for a luxury travel company, and I worked for a high end marina, and you never really felt that sense of you're doing something in the world. It was always just kind of you're there to make a buck.
Yeah, snap
And
the finger, get me something now.
absolutely. And so that's the thing that I love about staffing for sure.
That's amazing. Great story there. Okay, so now the exciting part. What made you apply for this scholarship?
So I had our VP of HR had gone and had talked about how awesome Thrive was. Excuse me, I'm going to cough 1 second.
It's okay.
I'm sorry about that. Um,
No, that's why we're live. Everything
she
goes.
she had talked about how great it was, and then my direct boss had said, "Hey, you should apply for this."
Mhm.
And I kind of went back and forth, and I did end up applying. Um, yeah, I applied last year, and I was really surprised. It was a long time between when you applied and when you
That's what I
actually
heard.
found out, and I had literally just thought I didn't get it. So I signed up for a half marathon that same exact weekend and got my friend to sign up. And then I found out that I won, and to tell my friend, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do this half marathon with you that I made
Oh,
made you sign up for. Um, so yeah, that was pretty funny.
what was your feeling when you got this email? I mean,
I was thrilled. I was excited. I was honored. Um, I think I don't recall if the email actually said how many people. I think there was like 120 applicants. So
mhm.
when I learned that, I was really honored and touched that my application got the notice of the board that was looking at it. I really didn't fully recognize the implications of what being a scholarship winner was going to actually do.
Oh boy.
Um, yeah, it wasn't until maybe a few weeks before when we really started going with the text messaging and all of the connection with the cohort. And then when we arrived, the lady leaders and, just a whole bunch of people were just congratulating us and, connecting with us, meeting people in executive level roles. It was, there was just so many doors opened and so much great learning to be had. I think it was Victoria that was saying, take the meat and leave the bones. And
Hmm.
um, that was exactly what Thrive was all about for me, was just soaking up as much learning as I could, making as many connections as I could. Um, and that's been absolutely amazing.
Wow. Okay. So you get this award and then you're invited to Staffing World, which means you can't do your marathon, but that's okay. There's another time. I'm glad you picked this one over the marathon, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Come on. That would be awful if they're like, oh, well, you know what, maybe the marathon. But no, all joking aside, so you get there in person to meet, the Super Seven, the other seven ladies. What is going through your mind? Because you'd never met them before, but just through emails and text.
There was a combination of feeling like I've known some of them forever. Obviously a group text can get very busy.
Hmm.
Um, and so some people were able to be more involved than others. So a few of them I felt like, "Oh my God, I've known you forever." And then a few of them were sort of a little bit newer because they maybe were able to chime in less because life. And it was an instant camaraderie. I think when you go through anything together, we all didn't know what to expect from the stage moment, and so there was a lot of uncertainty across the group, and I think that helped bring some immediate bonding. I also think it's a group of women that are all looking to better themselves. So when you're around a bunch of people that have similar goals of bettering themselves, then it's very easy to connect.
I mean, you got the best support system ever with the girls. I mean, seriously. So you're
Yeah,
never going in staffing alone anymore. You got them for life.
for
So
sure.
when,
And I love the fact that we're just such a varied group of people,
mhm.
from Victoria to Catherine to Jill, everybody's in a different role.
Okay, so I got to ask you this. So, okay, so you're there, you get to hug everybody, fist pump, get to chat with them, maybe spend dinner or have a drink with them, and then it's stage time at Staffing World. What are you thinking? Because you're going in front of a crowd at Staffing World, the epic, the mecca of staffing every year. What is going through your mind before you get up on that stage?
Don't mess up. I think it was Jill that said, "Don't fall, don't trip, don't fall." My mantra was very similar. Don't trip, don't mess up, don't. Um, there was a lot of people. I think the Thrive stage was, for me, a lot less intimidating than the Staffing World stage. And that stage, there were so many people in the audience, where Thrive was a little more manageable. So,
Hmm.
um, but yeah, it was just, you get up there, you can't see anybody in the audience. So that in some ways kind of helps, because you can I just imagine that there wasn't anybody there. So
You're in a room
um,
by yourself with your
I was in a
sister.
room
That's
by
it.
myself. Yeah, exactly. Or a room with seven other women. So,
Mm.
um,
And,
but
and that, you know,
it was definitely frightening, I would say.
and that Staffing World experience afterwards. I mean, after you get off the stage, I mean, people that you don't even know is coming up to you, congratulating you. What was that feeling like? Because, I mean, you're not just walking around putting yourself in a corner. You're like in a spotlight, the whole staffing world. How was that feeling?
I think I think that was a piece that made me see, that we really had a place, a seat at the table, that we should take this experience and build it into something greater. Um, that experience actually pushed me to build a women's mentorship group here at my company. And
Yeah.
yeah, so we actually just kicked it off a few weeks ago, and that's something that came from Thrive. That feeling of comfort and being able to talk about ambition, is something that I wanted to bring back here to the company, and that being on the stage and being able to connect with so many people, all those congratulations, that's part of what drove that for me.
Did you ever sit at home at nighttime and just pinch yourself and says, wow, I did not know this experience was be like this, because your career has totally changed now forever.
Yes, absolutely. I think, right around going to Thrive and, the first few weeks after Thrive, it really was kind of like a sort of a fairy tale. I had these great connections, people that I really valued what they shared at Thrive. Tyranny Nettles was one person that I really liked her presentation. Just so many people. It was really just indescribable, honestly.
I love it. And look, what 8 months later, guess what we're doing? We're on a podcast here, going live, continuing the vibe, you know?
Yes, for sure. Um, I'm so thankful that you had us on this week. I think that there's so many valuable stories across this cohort, and I hope that if any women are out there thinking about signing up and not yet ready, that I hope they take the leap, because this has just been a fantastic experience. There isn't a single thing about this experience that I haven't enjoyed.
I love that. And can you just, before we get out of here, elaborate about how Thrive is so important to join Thrive and actually go to the virtual and then the in-person one?
So I haven't yet been to a virtual one. I am gonna go this year, so I'm really looking forward to that. I just think that if you're somebody who wants to find a way to take your career to the next level, um, specifically a woman who wants to take your career to the next level, this is a great avenue to do it. The fact that it rolls right into staffing world, you get to further network from there. But I think being able to see from other people's point of view, just having the staffing world come together, um, and being really focused on women and their growth, there's just so many opportunities you'd be foolish not to attend.
There it is from Tracy. If you guys get a chance, make sure you follow Tracy Pierce on LinkedIn and other platforms. Tracy, thank you so much for coming on. But before we go, of course, we got a shout out right here. Look at this. One of your sisters went,
Catherine, yay!
yay. So you know what? That's up there. She's already saying what you got to do. On three, you know you got to do this with me. Are you ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3. Let's do it.
Woo!
There it is. A woo for everybody here at the ASA Women in Leadership Scholarship winner. Tracy, thank you again. Hey, that's a wrap for today. We'll see you tomorrow, Thursday at high noon for another superstar. Take care,
Thank you so
guys.
much, Richard. Take care. Bye-bye.